So yeah, like I was saying, like a lot of people feel today that like they're not getting any reward out of or any kind of satisfaction out of doing their job, if you see what I mean, you know, because they're just barely making ends meet. You know, there's a lot of people living paycheck to paycheck. You know, there's a lot of people that are 2 or 3 paychecks away from being homeless.
Like I say, I've seen it.
And that is a serious thing, mate.
I've seen,
you know what? Someone being 2 to 3 paychecks away from being homeless. So essentially, there's a lot of people out there who are literally, if they lost their job and didn't get another job within 2 or 3 months, they could be homeless.
Mm-hmm.
That's how bad things are there for a lot of people today, which is crazy to think, mate. Yeah. So.
And like, so I've seen the changes in the last 50 years, where, like when I was working, when I first got my job,
yeah,
I used to get paid my money, whatever.
Yeah.
I used to get paid weekly, by the way, back then. You know, then they changed it to monthly. You know, do you know what I mean? Slowly in time. Alright. But anyway, when I used to get paid, I used to be able to afford to buy some clothes at the end of the week. Or I could afford to go on holiday once a year, yeah? I could afford, I could just afford to enjoy life more.
Yeah.
You know, yeah?
Yeah.
That's what, And then slowly, in the last 50 years, that's sort of like, and like when I used to drink back then, I used to go to the pub, yeah? And I could buy my friends around. It was no problem in a kind of way, it wasn't too expensive, you see. But slowly in the time, year after year, they've been tightening things up.
Tightening the screws.
Right, and like now, today,
literally,
when you get paid, you can't really go and afford to go take your girlfriend out for a curry or whatever. You can't afford to buy a jumper at the end of the week. It's got a bit too much. You can't afford to enjoy yourself. You can't afford the entertainment anymore in a kind of way. You just got to work, and not enjoy yourself anymore in a kind of way. That's what I think anyway. They're not giving you so much pocket money to spend. You got to watch what you buy. You got to watch every banana you buy today. In a funny way. And that's what they're.
Well, the off gem, the thing that the national, whatever it is, the regulator thing that regulates prices and all these different things of like companies like electric company, etc. They just come out and announced yesterday that electric bills are going up £1,500 more a month for every household a year. So on top of what you were already paying previous, which was already a lot of money, already about £150 a month, £200, now it's going up an extra £1,500 a year.
Wow.
So that's roughly about an extra £150 a month.
So it'd be expensive to turn the light on.
So it's getting to the point where they're going to have to do something about this shit, because there's people that are just becoming more and more unhappy. And there's going to be people that are just going to be refusing to pay it, and they're going to be even in an even worse situation, these companies, if you see what I mean.
Well,
they're going to be in even, and it doesn't help the fact too that when they come out and announce that they've just made huge profits, they've made billions of dollars in profits.
Yeah, well, I mean, it
And
doesn't surprise me, because it's the world we're living in, it's all about profit.
But it's just even the fact that they come out and announce it, they've just made all these profits, and then they say, oh yeah, come October, just to let you know, from October onwards, every household's bill a year is going to be going up an extra £1,500 more a year, every household. It's just like, it's disgusting, it's disgusting. All these MPs and all these people that can't fix this shit and figure it out and make it more affordable and economical for people to live and survive, they should be fired, in my opinion. Because they're not working for the people, are they?
Well,
if you're not figuring out problems and trying to sort out solutions to help people, which is your job, is what you've been employed by the people to do, then you should be get rid of. They should get rid of you. Find someone who will do the job. Sort shit out. Fix this shit.
I say life here is all to do with happiness,
Yeah.
And like I say, making the world a bit difficult, aren't they? Sort of putting the electric up, doing whatever. And people are thinking, oh no, you know, they ain't got much of a future now, do you know what I mean? It's sort of like, oh no, you know, we'll have a cold winter, you know. Especially the old people, you know, they need to keep warm, don't they? To, you know, and it's about, you know, I say life is all about being happy and enjoying the moment, you know.
They're trying to take people's happiness away though, mate.
Yeah, you know, they're making it a struggle for people to, you know, and it's a bit scary really, because when people are unhappy, they can sort of ruin your day, you know, or steal your shopping, or you know what I mean?
Or worse, it just makes it just makes society
it's making
worse.
a bamboo sort of situation, if you see what I mean. A boom, you know, I don't know.
Domino effect.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
You know, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Can you come next week?
Pause.
You know, but yeah, it's making it difficult and more. You know, when you go out, you've got to watch your back basically, haven't you? Do you know what I mean? Now, in a kind of way, you know, because and also sort of we got a shopping sort of shopping place where you go shopping, whatever, a shopping market, whatever, and there's big security guards, really big, you know.
Yeah.
Thinking, what do we need him for? You know, there's only sweets in there. There's no money.
And most of the people that are going in our shops, mate, are old dears and shit.
Yeah, you know, they're like, they're getting scared, you know, because there's a big security guard with a gun or something. No, you ain't got a gun, but, you know, it wouldn't surprise me soon, you know, they might have a gun soon, you know. It's just crazy, you know, I think, you know, and it's like,
shoot one of these young lads for stealing a lollipop. You never know, mate, this day and age.
you imagine, you think how many jobs in the UK alone are in security.
Yeah, a lot.
Security jobs,
a lot.
right, yeah? Security, right, people pay a lot of money for security.
Because there's lots of different types of security as well.
Yeah, you know, some security people get paid a lot of money for what they do, you know, they're just standing there like penguins most of them, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do nothing.
Well, I remember when I first came out to the UK, actually, one of the jobs that I applied for was a security job.
Oh, yeah.
And it's unfortunate at the time I didn't have the right, they wanted like some qualification, but because I'd just come back to the country, I didn't have any of that shit, if you see what I mean. I didn't have that paperwork, if you see what I mean. But I remember at the time it was an easy job, but it was good pay, if you see what I mean. It was literally a 10-hour day or something, and you were getting paid £15 an hour, 10-hour a day, and all you had to do is literally let people in and out of this building. If you see what I mean, that was your job, just to sit there at the desk and let people in and out of the building. You know, obviously check to make sure that they are who they say they are, and their credentials, and people who are delivering shit or whatever the case may be. Then you know, but it was a simple job, you know. But it's bloody shame I didn't have the paperwork at the time, because you know, it would have been a nice little cushy, you know, nice little cushy job, easy job to have, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it is quite an easy job really, but there's a lot of people in security today.
A lot.
I mean, you think about all these cameras everywhere, you know, there's people behind there watching us, do you know what I mean? You know, and keeping an eye on us, you know, make sure we don't sneeze or trip over, you know. It's a funny world, you know, you think, why is it like this, you know? It never used to be. You know, not always be like this, you know. I think security is getting, you know, more powerful every year.
Yeah, true.
That goes by in a funny way, you know, too.
Yeah.
You know, I think when I was younger, there wasn't much security about.
Yeah.
When I was a little boy, that is. You know, and it's just kind of.
Well, let's face it. But
to
face the facts, the crime has grown year after year. You know, crime was growing year after year. You know.
Is that because of the population growing?
Yeah, well, different factors. Population growing, life becoming harder.
Electric going up.
All sorts of shit, mate. You get people doing shit that they wouldn't normally do, finding side hustles and shit that they wouldn't normally do, just I
mean, people...
Because people don't want to struggle, let's face the fact. No one wants to struggle. So, there's lots of people out there. I know plenty of people, because I won't say anyone's names for obvious reasons, you know, we don't do that shit, but I know loads of people that have got jobs, but they're selling... They might sell weed on the side, or they might do, you know, they're finding side hustles that aren't necessarily, you could get in trouble, you know, side hustles that you can get in trouble for, but because You know, they got a job and they're trying to find a side hustle where they can make some profit on the side on top of their paycheck because, you know, they don't want to struggle, you know.
Well, it's like women, you know, a lot of women go into prostitution. I don't think
Yeah.
one woman wants to be a prostitute.
No, and there's a lot of that today
I
too.
don't think they want to be a prostitute, but
A
it's
lot
the only way they can get some food on the table, do you know what I mean?
There's a lot of women out there doing it
Well,
today,
that's
mate.
it,
So
you know,
like
this
escorts, they don't call it prostitutes anymore, they do
It's kind of the wicked world we're living in.
escorts and shit, like, you know. Especially in the cities and shit, like probably not so much in our small little town, but like in cities and all that kind of big cities and stuff, you have a lot of that going on, you know, like, you know, women who are, you know, you know.
I think it's a kind of wicked world, really, you know, where, you know, people are pushed into crime sometimes, you know. That's what they are. I mean, like for instance, electric going up, right? That pushes a lot of people into crime. That's that. That's a fact, you know.
And you know, not only that, but you got a. It's. I'm not saying it's right, but a lot of the younger generation that are leaving school without qualifications and shit, they might be living in an environment where there might be only certain jobs available to them because of their qualifications or their background or whatever the case may be, and that job might be paying 25,000 a year. Meanwhile, he's got mates that might be living in an environment where he's got mates or older people around him who are making 100, 150, 200,000, 250,000 a year, selling dope or something, selling coke or something, you know what I mean? Because it depends where you grew up, depends on your environment and what you're exposed to. But if he's a young lad, left school, not many qualifications, struggling to get a decent job that pays well, you know what I mean? And not being satisfied with that, because a lot of the younger people today, they want the, you know, they want the finer things of life, you know, and they, you know, sometimes they're not always willing to work a legitimate job to get it, you know, so they'll do what they have to do to get it. And you get a lot of these younger people that are lured, like you said, into doing certain things because they don't always see the criminal thing behind it. They get lured by the appeal of the money, potentially some maybe women that come along with the money, and a type of lifestyle that comes along with the money. You know, a nice car, nice house, and you know, being able to dress nicely and etc. Living a certain life, you know, kind of a little bit of a lavish life, you know, kind of thing, you know. Because the reality is that people don't want to struggle, like I was saying. But a lot of people don't. They're not happy struggling. If you ask anyone today if they're happy to struggle, they'll tell you no. You know, would much rather be comfortable. You know, a lot of people out there don't even want to be super wealthy and rich. They just want to be comfortable. You know.
I want to be a football player.
How earns $250 a week, $250K a week.
Yeah, you know, like.
I might not even play. Go
on holiday.
I might not even play that Saturday. Might just have to train 3 days a week. I might not even play on the Saturday.
Yeah.
Might sit on the bench for the whole 90 minutes, you know what I mean? And then have to go and train for another 3 days a week for, you know, 2 hours a day, you know? For 3 days a week, 6 hours, you know? In 3 days, that's all, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you think about it though, you know, like, the logic of it all, the common sense of it all, like, for instance, like the football players getting paid the amounts that they do, alright?
Yeah.
And nurses.
Getting paid 25, 30K a year.
Well.
A year.
You know, and you know, so they're not really enjoying life much, are they? Really, they can't afford to go on holiday much.
But tell me,
things like that.
Well, there's lots of them that do it for the love of it. But you can only do it for the love. So, of course, at the end of the day, as much as you do it for the love of it, sorry, is what I was gonna say. Like for me, I work in the healthcare industry. I love my job. I get a reward from doing it. I enjoy doing it. I feel like I'm really helping people, and at the same time, obviously, I get paid quite well, and I can use it to provide for my family. But nurses, let's say for example, if they're a nurse and they're working 12.5-hour shifts 4 or 5 days a week, you don't have a lot of life outside of work because you're already working 12.5-hour shifts. So then you're dealing with people all day long, which is always the hardest one. Any profession you're dealing with people is always the hardest professions because you're having to deal with lots of different people on a daily basis.
Especially in the hospital where they're all sick and
sick, and you know, people are upset because they're having to wait, or they're in pain, or they want help and they feel like they're not getting the attention they deserve.
I think it's a very tough job.
That's what I'm saying. It's high pressure, long hours, very little reward,
Yeah.
Because a lot of times they don't get rewarded for all their hard work and everything they do, being on there.
Football players get rewarded, but they don't.
But they don't. But
You know, this is what I don't get it.
It's a backward
I
society.
really do not get it, because I mean,
Yeah.
even when a football injures himself, he's got to go to hospital, and the nurse has got to sort of try to cure him,
Look after him.
trying to make him.
Well, they go
private.
well, a lot of these players, they go private and shit, don't they?
Probably, but there's still nurses there.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, there's probably a nurse there. Do you know what I mean? Looking after them. You know, and I don't. You know, what I'm just sort of saying, the reality of what world we're living in today is completely bizarre. If you ask me, you know, like, you know, it just
very backward society.
You know, I mean, football players get paid a lot of money because they entertain people in a kind of way, you know, and you know, a lot of people pay for their tickets and things, so they get, I suppose, buckets of money to play with. You know,
well, they get paid, but they have endorsements and sponsorships and all these.
But you know,
too,
so all of that stuff, right? To me,
yeah.
and the money involved, right, it spoiled the game.
Yeah.
I like football. I don't like the money part of it all. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I like seeing two sides playing, right? Like two maybe children and that, but there's no money. You know, and that makes it more of a game to me. You know, when there's money, they're kind of like getting a bit angry and fighting, and it makes it a bit more unnatural, I think.
Well, any time a club has to fork out in the regions of anywhere between 50 to 100 million for one player today, that just goes to show you to the point it's got to a very unrealistic and very ridiculous place today, where you're trying to tell me that you have to pay between 50 million to 100 million for one player.
Yeah.
You know?
It's
ridiculous.
It's
and if you're a club, and it doesn't make it fair for all clubs either, because a lot of clubs, okay, let's look at the Premier League, just using a random example. Let's look at the Premier League. There's probably 6 clubs in the Premier League that have got a lot of money, and the other ones have got, you know, they've got a lot less money to play with, let's say.
Yeah.
So if you're able to buy all these great players because you've got all the money and construct a good team, like what has been happening for the last however many years now, because Man City or Liverpool, Man City have won it for the last 5 years, whatever, in a row, because at that time they had the most money, they could afford the best players, you see what I mean? And all the other people, they couldn't afford that.
No, that's right, yeah.
So it's really,
all to do,
like you said,
it's all to do with
management,
management, really.
It's all money.
It's more to do with management. You know?
Yeah.
If you're a good manager, you end up, you know, making your it's like a company really rich.
Yeah.
Well off.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, then you can afford better players.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's all crazy.
It's crazy.
It's all gone stupid. You know, you know, like for instance, Liverpool, right? All the men playing in the team there.
Yeah.
One's from France, one's from, you know, do you know what I mean? It's just, they're not from Liverpool.
Yeah.
They're not.
No,
they're not from Liverpool.
I get what you're saying, it's funny.
So why are you shouting for Liverpool when all the people are from all up, you know, from Africa and all everywhere?
Yeah. Not that it matters, but I get what you're saying. It doesn't matter where the players are from.
The people should be born in Liverpool.
Yeah,
born.
it's not like what it like.
I mean, I know, right? Like for instance, Southampton, all right? Because I was born in Southampton, all right? And I did go to one football match and all that.
Yeah.
But originally, when the football team started up, they were all from Southampton area. You know, but now they, you know, because of the business,
it's players all from all over.
And evolved, and they've got money, you know, lots of money over the years. You know, they so much money. It's gone the way it is.
Every Premier League club is like that today. You know, if you analyse it today, right, mate? Out of let's say every team has 24 players. Yeah.
Yeah.
Out of those 24 players, you're probably going to have about maybe 6 to 8 who are English. All the others are all different nationality, whether it be European, African, etc. If you see what I mean, you know, predominantly European. Like you said, you get a lot of French players today, a lot of Spanish, Croatian, etc. If you see what I mean, etc. Which is also,
I think people. I think it's. To me, I just rather do other things in life than watch football. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think to me, it's just like you said. It's just the thing of it's just become capitalistic, like everything else in society. It's just like we were saying just now. Man City, you're just using them for an example. they had the most money for a number of years, and they could buy all these players, and that's what they did. They spent huge amounts of money, bought all these really expensive players that no one else could buy, that were, you know, world-renowned players, put them all together. They all had a great manager, they all played very well, and for the last however many years they've dominated, and no one else has come close, if you see what I mean, you know. The only side, the other side that came close was Liverpool, because they also had money and spent money on players or whatever, but they, you know, they weren't as good. But aside from that, all these other clubs, it was almost like they can't compete, if you see what I mean, you know. So
Possible.
where does it make where does the fairness element of it come into the game? You know, it's not about fairness. It comes back down to money. Like most, you know, like they say, money makes the world turn.
So I think it's spoiled the game a little bit, you know.
Mm.
It's funny, you know, we've invented football.
Yeah.
We invented cricket, you know.
Mm.
I mean, I don't know how long cricket's been around for. I think
Quite a while.
I think it's been around for a couple hundred years.
A couple hundred years at least, yeah.
I think, you know.
Definitely, yeah.
Football, I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's not always been around, you know.
Yeah.
We might invent a new sport soon, a new game. You know, you never know.
Mm.
You know, I don't know when rugby was invented. You know what I mean? You know, but all these games are invented again. You know, and they're all entertainment to play.
Yeah.
Or entertainment to watch, maybe. You know, but personally, I like playing. You know, like playing. Look, tennis is quite hard work actually.
Yeah, it's quite hard.
I get quite out of breath.
It's quite. You got to be quite fit to play tennis.
You know,
a lot of running up and down involved tennis, side to side.
You know, and I love badminton actually. You know, I played that for a few years, but I used to love playing that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, you know, there's all to do with entertainment again. Sport is entertainment.
That's what it is.
You know,
yeah.
and so are most things actually. You know, and like we were talking last week, whatever, about games coming in. You know, being invented. You know, it's changing. You know, it's giving everyone, children and adults, something else to do in life in a funny way. You know, and waste their time on.
Yeah.
You know.
Don't get me wrong, I see the entertainment value side of it, and
Yes, so do I.
you know, don't get me wrong, I'm like any other person that occasionally I like to sit down and watch something on Netflix or whatever the case may be, but I'm not spending predominantly most of my time doing that shit, because like you said, we've only got a short amount of time every day, if you see what I mean, outside of work, outside of everything else, to live our lives, you know, and to make the most of our lives.
Well, I'm lucky not to have a job.
Yeah.
You know,
so you got to, the time that you have, you got to make the most of the time that you do have. You know, however much time it is, you got to make the most of it. You know, and you know, sometimes it is nice to sit and relax and just take your mind off and watch a film, or occasionally, you know, whatever. But you know, or play a video game for 2 hours. You know, but don't spend your whole existence just doing that. You know, because you know you got to live. You need to live too. You know.
So. Yeah, I think. You've got to be impatient.
It is life after all.
Yeah, that's right. You've got to be patient, really, for the things that you enjoy in life, you know, whatever they are. You know, like I say, we get entertained in different ways. We've all got different tastes, in, you know, like what we enjoy. You know, some people like opera, for instance, you know.
Yeah.
And personally, I'm not, you know, not into that myself, you know, whatever, you know, but I think we've all got different. You know, I think people, generally, they love being entertained, full stop, right, really. You know, whether it's with sex, with watching something, or watching that, do you know what I mean, or listening to this.
Music,
you know,
film.
And people love to be entertained.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the funny thing, you know, when you think about it. You know, we've not always been like this, you know, we've not heard all this. We've not always lived in the world we've got today.
But we live in a world too today where we have overstimulation. I think we're overly stimulated. If you see what I mean.
How many different games can you buy?
People can't survive today without the stimulation anymore. It's got to a point where a lot of people can't survive without their social media. Can't survive without whatever it is they use to stimulate themselves, whatever form of entertainment you subscribe to. But a lot of people today, especially us younger generation, it's overstimulation. A lot of people spend most of their time on social media all day long, and then when they get home from work, they're watching a film or Netflix or a series, and then before they go to bed, they're on their phone again for an hour before they go to bed, and you know, and doing the same thing.
Sometimes, like
it's constant stimulation, you know. It's no break, you know.
Yeah, and sometimes when you're watching something, saying you're really getting into it, you might want to watch another one.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And another one, you know.
Yeah.
And it takes your time away.
It does, yeah.
And you're not doing other things.
Yeah.
Like having a bath, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
All these essential things in life, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what you've got to be careful with. I think you've got to control your entertainment and yourself.
It's like anything can become unhealthy or become an addiction. There's people who are addicted to watching TV. There are people who are addicted to playing video games, where they can't function properly unless they're doing those things every day, if you see what I mean, you know. It's just too much overstimulation today. People are, you know, not everyone, because there are some people out there who are aware of these things and they take breaks, you know, throughout the day. You know, they live their lives and get on with what they've got to do, and at the end of the day they might check their phone to see if anyone sent them a message, or you know, just have a quick glimpse on social media just to catch up for half an hour. But they don't allow it to like control their lives. Like it's not. They don't. You know. They're living in reality, not in social media reality. If you see what I mean. You know, they're really living their lives, and you know, they might use social media like everyone else, but healthily, like you're saying. You know, in a healthy way. You know, not allowing it to take up all their time every day, and they're being their main focus all the time. You know. So yeah. But it's the same thing with everything. Everything, that's the thing about life, everything has the potential to be an addiction. You know, some people are addicted to all sorts of shit, you know. It's unbelievable, you know, what human beings are addicted to, you know.
Well, I was talking sort of in previous episodes about, like, there was one channel in the beginning, you know, when it was BBC, and now there's like thousands of channels, do you know what I mean? Yeah, today.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
You know, we're living in a very, very different life today to what it was.
Definitely.
You know, and entertainment, as I say, there's so much out there, and so much choice of entertainment, really, and so many things we can do. I think a lot of people get distracted in a funny way, you know, like say they get absorbed in it too much and forget about themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I think it's important, really, to focus on yourself in life. Forget about all the entertainment out there in a kind of way, I think, yeah. Get control of yourself.
Yeah. Not only that, but others around you too, because if you've got responsibilities, like you've got kids and you've got a wife, or you're in a relationship, you've got a missus or whatever, you've got people that require your time and your attention and your energy, you know, as well as, obviously, like you said, you've got to look after yourself, because that's the first thing, because if you don't look after yourself, you can't function and look after everyone else around you, especially if you're the man of the house and you know, you take pride in looking after your family kind of thing, you know. So, you know, but yeah, you know.
And I say, like you said earlier on, it's like having a balance, isn't it? With
balance, you know.
Absolutely everything, I think.
Because it's like your kids need a certain, like even me, when I get home from work, I might work a 12.5-hour shift, but then when I get home, the first thing that I'm going to do before I do anything else is go in the door, say hello to my wife and kids, so spend a good 5-10 minutes with them chatting, you know, how's your day been, you know, giving my wife and, you know, giving my kids a hug and a kiss and saying, you know, are you okay, how's your day been, are you alright, you know, is there anything you want to tell me, or and I do the same thing with my wife, if you see what I mean. Like I give it, you know, and say, okay, you know, I've just finished work as well, so you know, you guys need to give me, you know, 20 minutes to myself as well, so I can go outside and have a quick cup of tea and a quick smoke, and then I can have dinner and relax.
I think that's another thing that's important, really, having time for yourself. And it doesn't matter whether you're with people, like, you've got to have time for yourself every day, I think.
Yeah.
I think,
well, I might only get 20 minutes like in that evening, like, because like if I start with, like in the morning, I might work all day, and then when I get home late at night, I might only get like 20 minutes to myself. But I would say, okay, you're all alright, you know. I mean, my wife might say, okay, food's ready when you're ready, kind of thing. It's in the oven. Say, okay, I'll be back in 20 minutes. You know, 20 minutes, a cup of tea, have a quick smoke, relax, not listen to anything, not watch anything, not just literally be able to think. if you see what I mean, for 20 minutes, you know, or just, you know, or not think, if you see what I mean, you know, just completely relax my mind, you know.
That's right.
And then once I go back